Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!
Did you know? The origins of Speed Racer can be traced back to World War II. While Japan was still recovering from the war, many Japanese, including a young Toyoharu Yoshida, were mesmerized by the culture that American GIs had brought with them and left behind. Mach Go 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 was based strictly on our all-out adoration of America. American movies showed a life of abundance in the average household. Refrigerators were stuffed with food and fresh milk. It was absolutely unbelievable, like the Superman comics. In the 1950s, original creator Tatsuo Yoshida moved to Tokyo to find work illustrating comics, eventually being joined by his younger brothers Kenji and Toyoharu. In the early 1960s, Tatsuo and Ippei Kuri, Toyoharu's pen name, soon became prolific artists, and all three Yoshida brothers formed the Tatsunoko Production Company in 1962, the animation studio behind the original Speed Racer television series. Around this time, Japanese audiences were being introduced to many icons of Western culture, from films like Viva Las Vegas and Goldfinger to the stylings of Elvis Presley, along with the gadget-laden Aston Martin of James Bond. But Japanese cinema also had a big impact on Tatsuo, which included actors like Toshiro Mifune, namesake of main character Go Mifune, and Takashi Shimura, namesake of Michi Shimura. When all of these elements were combined with concepts and designs from Tatsuo's earlier work like Pilot Ace and Sanshiro of the Skies, Speed Racer was born. Though Japan's anime industry was already off to the races thanks to series like Astro Boy and Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer's production initially got off to a bumpy start. As recounted by Kenji Yoshida in Speed Racer, the official 30th anniversary guide, even after years of dreaming and planning, preparations for the televised broadcast were hectic, with changes occurring at the last minute. We weren't sure if we were going to produce the show in black and white or color. Only a third of the people had color TV, and the color was not as good as it is today, so we took a lot of time testing. Oftentimes, an episode wasn't completed until the day before air. Speed Racer's trip to America had a few twists and turns of its own. In later interviews, Ippei has been quoted saying that they wanted to pitch it to America from the very beginning. Mach Go 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 was first pitched to legendary producer Fred Ladd, who helped import and localize shows like Astro Boy and Gigantor to the US. If I had been smarter, I would have bought it, but my partner, Al Singer, had just died, reluctantly turning down the work due to having a full plate of other obligations. He added, "I always knew that Speed Racer would be big." Not wanting a good opportunity to go to waste, Ladd contacted Translux Television Corporation, with whom he had worked when distributing Tetsujin 28 Go as Gigantor, who quickly purchased it. Translux contracted editors Pablo Zavala and Sheldon Riss, and Peter Fernandez was hired to write and direct the English adaptation. Fernandez not only voiced many characters, including Go, renamed Speed, but also assembled the rest of the memorable cast and crew: Corrine Orr, Jack Grimes, Jack Curtis, and even Danny Davis, who produced the iconic theme song used in the American intro. Did you know the rights to the live-action Speed Racer film were bought for only $1 US? After its initial run on American television, the show fell somewhat into obscurity thanks to its ownership frequently changing hands, child welfare groups protesting its violent content, and its 52 episodes being below the minimum typically required for American syndication. All this changed, however, in 1986, when university student David Lane Seltzer was watching a movie. I was watching Top Gun, and the scene where Tom Cruise puts on his helmet in the cockpit reminded me of Speed Racer. So, from my dorm, I set about tracking down the rights. I got to Alan Gleitzman, then to John Rochnowski, and eventually to Tatsunoko. I optioned the rights from Tatsunoko for $1. After graduation, Seltzer set up a pitch meeting at Warner Brothers with Richard Donner, known for directing 1978's Superman, and Joel Silver, producer of Lethal Weapon. In 1989, a deal was struck which, after countless pre-production hang-ups, would eventually lead to the 2008 film produced by Silver and directed by the Wachowskis. Warner Brothers then sought all the rights to Speed Racer from Tatsunoko, including the animation, since Broadway Video's license was about to expire. Rochnowski, who was asked by Ippei Kuri to assist in negotiations, advised Tatsunoko to refuse, and instead convinced them to sell the rights to him, so he could then clear the rights with Warner Brothers. This lucrative arrangement led to Rochnowski and his son forming Speed Racer Enterprises, which produced The New Adventures of Speed Racer in 1993, but also led to a lawsuit. In 2012, Tatsunoko asserted that Rochnowski claimed ownership of the property after the 2011 termination date of the licensing agreement. Fortunately, the parties eventually settled, and all rights to the franchise worldwide went back to Tatsunoko Productions. After decades of success and spin-offs, and detours through development hell and legal limbo, Speed Racer seems destined to remain a beloved cultural fixture in Japan, the US, and around the world. Go Speed Racer Go! Thanks for watching Weird Did You Know Anime, the anime trivia resource. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and share this video with all the other racers out there. This has been Jon Lobo, and in addition to being the narrator for today's episode, it's also been my privilege to have been a scriptwriter and researcher for Did You Know Anime since we started in early 2014. If you'd like to hear more from me, I've been known to occasionally ramble about anime titles, old and new, popular and niche, on my podcast, Who Cares About Anime, where I discuss anime with friends and peers in the viewing and critiquing world. Thanks for listening, and thank you for supporting Did You Know Anime.